All right, students, we will talk about color today, and a lot of these things you will already know, but hopefully some of these things will be new. What we call this is color theory. So a lot of these things, like I said, you should already know. For example, if I said primary colors, hopefully you know that those are red, yellow, and blue. And then if I said secondary colors, you would know that those are orange, green, and purple. And then if I said tertiary colors, that's probably one of the things that you don't know yet, but we'll go over that after we've made a color wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and start a color wheel, and I'm going to use a pencil for this because I like to be able to erase if I need to. I use a pen mostly so that you can see it clearly on the video. So once you've made a circle, you need to divide it into 12 sections. So to me, the easiest way to do that is pretend that it is a clock and go in and mark where you would have 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And then between 12 and 3, of course, you need 1 and 2. So then we have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we have 4, and then 5 o'clock. To make this thing divided evenly, I'm going to skip this side because that can make it a little bit funny. The easiest way to make this look good is to do your up and down lines first. So do your vertical and your horizontal line, connect 9 to 3 like I just did, and 12 to 6 like I did first. And then come in and connect 1 o'clock, connect 1 o'clock with the center of the color wheel. So 1 o'clock's right there. There's the center, drag it through, okay? 2 o'clock, there's the center, drag it through. So this way you have your first 6 sections already divided, and the other 2 will divide now. Same way, and you'll get a nice even 12 sections. So it's a pretty evenly divided color wheel. Not perfect, but good enough for our purposes. I'm gonna start with the primary colors. And where you put the color does not matter. What will matter is where you put the secondary and tertiary colors once you have the primary colors in place. So I'm going to start, and I'll just do a blue, and I'm using chalk pastels because they are a little bit faster than paint, and I can still blend them pretty easily. So I want you to notice that I haven't put in a ton of color. I'm not scrubbing it all in. You can still see some white through there, but it's mostly colored. Once I have a primary color, I'm going to skip 3 triangles and do the next primary color. This will be so that I have enough space for my secondary colors and my tertiary colors. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a clue as to what those tertiary colors are. Okay, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to put my red in. Okay, once I have all of that done, I'm going to start with my secondary colors. So primary, secondary will be right in between the 2, because when you add 2 primaries together, you get a secondary. We'll start with green because that's up top. Yellow tends to be a weaker color, and because of that, you usually need more yellow than you do blue or red when you're mixing. So in this case, since I'm not mixing in a paint palette, but rather on the paper, I'm going to put my yellow down first. Then I will add my blue. And my blue, I'm going to try to put down a little bit more lightly. And like I said, you can blend this. So now I'm going to blend. If you only go in one direction when you blend, you can sometimes get little sections that are still blue or still yellow. So I'm going to go up and down, left and right, clockwise, and then counterclockwise. And I'm fairly happy with that, but I'm not sure if it really is directly in between these 2. And what will help me know that is if I do the tertiary colors. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the tertiary colors. If it wasn't clear, if you haven't figured it out, tertiary is when you mix a primary and a secondary. So in this example, we're going to mix blue and green, and that of course makes blue, green. We're also going to mix green and yellow, and so that makes yellow green. The way that tertiary colors are named typically is to put the primary color first and then the secondary color. So we're making blue-green and yellow-green. Again, because yellow is a weaker color, I'm going to put my yellow down first. Make sure that your color is, your chalk is clean. And this one right here is yellow-green, so I want it to be more yellow than it is green. And right now they're very, very similar. So I'll go back in and I'm going to add green. Excuse me, I'm going to add yellow. Okay, and at this point I'm pretty content with this yellow-green, but I'm not content with this blue-green. So we'll work on that one in a second. Because I want to see if it really is not green enough or if my perception is just incorrect. And now that I have a blue-green that is a little bit more blue than before, I realize that my green actually does look pretty okay. I might add a tiny bit of blue over here just to make it different enough from that yellow-green. Also, I want you to notice that before I was using my index finger, but it's saturated with blue chalk, so then I had to use my middle finger, so otherwise I would make it muddy. I've got two clean fingers. I'm gonna go ahead, smear out that blue, smear out that yellow, and then just with a piece of paper towel, don't even have to get my hands wet, I'll just come in, clean off my fingers. They're not clean enough to eat off of, but they are clean enough to do the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll stop narrating, but rather just fill it in. But before I fill it in, I want to make sure that it's clear the colors that I'm drawing, colors that I'm filling in, right? So these are our tertiaries, and I'll be doing yellow-orange, and then red-orange, red-violet, and blue-violet. And while I say purple, I prefer to say red-violet instead of red-purple, because to me red-purple sounds weird, but both are correct. Alright, I said I wasn't going to narrate this part, but I do want to point out that I didn't put down any red right here because it's such a strong color that just the dust on my fingers from blending the orange is enough to make this one a red-orange. Excuse me, it's enough to make this one a yellow-orange. And I'm still going to add in a little bit more yellow because I think it's too close to orange. All right, there I have my my color wheel. All right, it's got my primary colors, it has my secondary colors, and it has all of my tertiary colors. I'm not going to label them with their full names, but I will just put an abbreviation. So blue, blue-green, green, yellow-green, yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red-orange, red, red-violet, purple or violet, and then blue-violet. All right, and that's the first little thing that you need to do to have get your color theory understood and on your way.